position. I am ready to receive motions for the position of chair.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mr. Barrett.
I'd like to move a motion that Mr. Sweet be the committee chair.
It has been moved by Mr. Barrett that Mr. Sweet be elected as chair of the committee. Are there any other motions? Is it the pleasure of the committee to adopt the motion?
Yes.
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 Great, thank you. I declare the motion carried and Mr. Sweet duly elected chair of the committee. And I invite Mr. Sweet to take the chair.
Hear, hear.
Well, it's an interesting way to take the chair via video. Thank you very much, colleagues. As long as you're in agreement, I invite the clerk to go ahead with the election of vice chairs.
Thank you. Pursuant to Standing Order 106-2, the first vice chair must be a member of the government party. I'm now prepared to receive motions for the first vice chair.
Clerk?
Yes, Mr. Sorbera.
I would like to nominate a member of Parliament, Brenda Shanahan, for vice chair, please.
It has been moved by Mr. Sorbera that Ms. Shanahan be elected as first vice chair of the committee. Are there any further motions? Is it the pleasure of the committee to adopt the motion? Yes.
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 Great. Then I declare Ms. Shanahan duly elected first vice chair of the committee. Congratulations. Conformément à l'article 100.
Pursuant to 106.2, the second vice chair must be from a party other than the official opposition. I am now ready to receive motions for the second vice chair. Madam Shanahan? I would like to nominate Marie-Hélène Gaudreau as second vice chair. It has been moved by Ms. Shanahan that Ms. Gaudreau be elected second vice chair of the committee. Are there any other motions? I would like to propose Mr. Angus as second vice chair.
Candidate has been nominated pursuant to the House Order of Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. Any motion received after the initial one shall be taken as notice of motion, and such motions shall be put to the committee seriatim until one is adopted. La motion proposée par Madame Shanahan.
The motion proposed that by Ms. Shanahan that Ms. Gaudreau be elected as second vice chair of the committee has been received as a notice of motion. The motion proposed by Mr. Fergus that Mr. Angus be elected as second vice chair of the committee has been received as a notice of motion. Would the committee like to adopt that Ms. Gaudreau be elected as second vice chair? Pursuant to the House Order of Wednesday, September 23rd, I will now proceed to a recorded division.
Gaudreau be elected second vice chair of the committee. Please say yay when your name is called. And please say nay if you are not in favor of the motion. Mr. Dong.
Yay.
Mr. Fergus.
Nay.
Ms. Latanzo.
Yay.
Ms. Shanahan.
Yes.
Mr. Sorbera.
Oui.
Mr. Barrett.
Yes.
Monsieur Gould.
Oui.
Mr. Workington.
Yay.
Madame Gaudreau,
Oui.
Yes.
Mr. Angus. Oh, I think you're on mute.
No.
So 8 for, 2 against, 8 pour, 2.
8 for, 2 against.
And Madame Gaudreau duly elected second vice chair of the committee. I will now turn the meeting over to the chair.
A point of order, Chair and Clerk, just a small routine thing. I noticed that some my staff didn't get the email. So could the clerk double check the MP staff contact to make sure we all receive the proper information?
Yes, thank you, I will.
Thank you. Sorry, Chair.
Not a problem, and please make sure, especially for those who are on the committee previously, if the staff connection in your office is different, I'm certain the clerk would like to know that, and that way we'll make sure that you not only yourself, but also your staff get the appropriate information when it's available. I'm going to go through some ground rules now, but first off, let me just say thank you very much, colleagues, for your trust and confidence. I will do everything I can to make sure that, first off, as a collective, we serve Canadian citizens as well as the House of Commons. That's what our mandate is. As well, I will do everything I can to earn your trust. And by doing that, I mean that I'll try to make sure that every meeting is very orderly. Most of us, I don't think any of us, are cabinet ministers. So this is the one opportunity that we get to actually assert our position and represent our constituents actively. And I'm well aware of that. I've chaired 2 other committees in the past, Veterans Affairs and the Industry Committee. And so I'll do everything I can to make sure your voice is heard and heard fairly. You've been duly elected by your constituents and you've sworn an oath to the Queen. And that is heavy on my mind as my responsibility to make sure that you have the opportunity to assert your position and to be fair. That said, let me go on to some housekeeping things now. To ensure an orderly meeting, I'd like to outline a few rules to follow. Interpretation in this video conference will work very much like in a regular committee meeting. You have the choice at the bottom of your screen for either the floor, English, or French. As you're speaking, if you plan to alternate from one language to the other, you'll need to also switch the interpretation channel so it aligns with the language you're speaking. You may want to allow for a short pause when switching languages to make sure, of course, the transition is smooth. Before speaking, please wait until I recognize you by name. And of course, colleagues, this is all new for us, so believe me, if I stumble a bit, don't take that as an affront. It's just that it's going to be different for me to navigate via video rather than live. However, I have to say that one of the challenges I always had as a chair when people were subbing in and out was their name, and I can actually see all the names clearly now. So that is one advantage of a video conference that I really appreciate. Colleagues, when you're ready to speak, you can click on your microphone icon to activate your mic. A reminder that all comments by members should be addressed through the chair, and please, if you need the clerk's help, please go through me as well, and that way the clerk doesn't feel pulled to and fro or distracted when we're debating an issue and somebody's asking a question. I mean, that goes more for in a live meeting, but I know that the clerk would appreciate that. If a member wishes to intervene on a point of order that's been raised by another member, they should use the raised hand function. I'm going to have to learn that myself. This will signal to the chair your interest to speak. In order to do so, you should click on participants at the bottom of the screen. When the list pops up, you'll see next to your name that you can click a raised hand. When speaking, please speak slowly and clearly. That's not only for all of us, but also for interpretation. The use of headsets is strongly encouraged. Should any technical challenges arise, for example, in relation to interpretation or a problem with audio, please advise the chair immediately and the technical team will work to resolve them. They're on the line with us right now. Please note that we may need to suspend during those times to ensure that all members are able to participate fully. Before we get started, can everyone click on the screen in the top right-hand corner and ensure that you're on the gallery view? With this view, you should be able to see all participants in a grid view. It will ensure that all video participants can see one another. And if the committee wishes now, we will proceed to routine motions. Is it agreed that we'll proceed to routine motions?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, colleagues, you should have in front of you the routine copy of the routine motions that the clerk sent out. I will go through them one at a time, and then, like I said, if there's any interventions, I'll do my best to make sure I'm treating everybody fairly as the electronic hands come up.
Sorry, question? Chair?
Go ahead, Mr. Angus, go ahead.
Yeah, I see that we have a number of hands that come up before the routine proceedings issue comes. I'm not sure if they have to do with routine proceedings, but if we have questions about routine proceedings, do we have to wait till all those other hands are dealt with, or can we intervene specifically for the routine proceedings motion?
Well, let me check first. By the way, there's a little bit of delay because I'm getting text to the speakers list rather than having it passed to me like we normally would in a committee. So now I have it. So let me just check and see what these issues are about, Mr. Angus, and then we'll move forward in that. Okay, Madame Goudreau.
Oui, mais
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Regarding routine proceedings, I know that we did what we needed to do at the beginning of the meeting. I want to make sure that we have time to talk about my inquiry. I raised my hand in order to, during this meeting, table a motion once it will be the right time to do so.
Thank you, Madame Goudreau. Ms. Shanahan.
I just wanted to bring up, I don't know if it's a point of order, but just around the routine motions. Is it not custom that it would be a sitting member that reads out the routine motions? And if that is the case, I know that Mr. Fergus is prepared to do so.
That is a new one for me, but that I have no problem if the committee would like one of the committee members to read out the motions. I'm fully fine with that. Let me just go to the others that have put their hand up, and let me deal with those, and then we'll go back to the committee's wishes in regards to Mr. Fergus and the motions. And the next one is Mr. Fergus.
C'était précisément la.
That's exactly the question that I was going to ask. If you would like to read it, that's fine, but first and foremost, congratulations, Mr. Chair, for being chair of this committee. But I am completely ready to read these routine motions.
Closure for the committee, Mr. Fergus and I made one of the most majestic jogs ever in the history of individuals along the Thames River in London, and so I have obviously a favorable disposition to him reading the routine motions myself. Mr. Barrett.
That's a tough act to follow, Mr. Chair. My hand was raised for the same reason as Madame Gaudreau, that I have following routine motions. I would like to move a motion.
Okay, well, I see that this is going to be a very efficient committee. Okay, Mr. Don.
Congratulations, Chair, and congratulations to the two vice chairs as well. Yeah, I raised my hand actually to ask the question. I also have a motion I would like to move after the routine discussion on the routine motion. But I thought you just indicated the rule is that we have to raise a hand to do so. So, you know, I wonder if that's still the case, and that when raising the hand for moving a motion, when would that be sort of a starting point, or we can just pop in any time raise our hand to move a motion.
Well, right now, Ms. Goudreau, as well as Mr. Barrett, and of course yourself, have indicated that you want to move motions. That was the order in which I have them here, where the hands were raised as the clerk is communicating them to me. Mm-hmm. And so I'm certainly fine to go ahead with that order, and after we've completed the routine motions. And we'll go back to Ms. Shanahan now.
Chair, and I'd like to add my name to the list to move a motion after the routine motions.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to rely on the clerk to now, because we got quite a backup on that. So now there's 4 that have indicated a motion. And now to Ms. Latanzio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations to you and the 2 ladies being nominated as vice chair this morning. I want to signal my intent to also present a motion this morning.
Okay, that's 5 motions that we have that will be asked for. And now Mr. Angus.
Yes, I put my hand up because I thought we would deal with motions after routine proceedings, but I want to be on the list for motions.
Agreed, Mr. Angus. You'll be on that list as well then. And if it pleases the committee, I think it would be excellent for Mr. Fergus to read out each routine motion, and then I will go to you, the members of the committee, in order to.
So I just want to provide a suggestion to the committee. Just out of we all are colleagues. I see that there are quite a few of us want to move a motion right after the routine motion. Would it be possible, just out of fairness, to have maybe now I see Madame Goudreau raise the hand first, and have maybe another party, a member from another party, to do a second one, and then we go back to the order. So that way we don't have 2 members from the same party moving the motion right after.
Yeah, Mr. Dong, I'm certainly, again, I'm the servant to the committee, and I will always be that. That said, I normally recognize individuals and not parties in the committee. And that goes back to my logic at the beginning, that this is the one time that you have as an independent member of parliament to assert your position. And so I think that there'll be people that will have motions that will be of their own interest and some of the party interest. But I'm certainly at the disposal of the committee if you'd prefer that I move from one party to the other throughout the motions. And I'm certain that we can, between myself and the clerk, we can manage that. But again, I think I want to respect you, all of you, as individuals. So if there's no objection to proceeding with as people mentioned their motions, then I will go to Mr. Fergus, and we can continue on the routine motions, or begin the routine motions now.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Puis encore une fois, mes félicitations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Once again, I'd like to congratulate you, and I'd like to tell my colleagues and the male colleagues that I know that Mr. Swede wears bow ties every Friday. I do it on Thursdays. So I'll invite you all to follow this new tradition at the House of Commons, to wear a bow tie at least once a week. This being said, Mr. Chair, I'd like to start with the routine motions. Analyst services, that the committee retain as needed and at the discretion of the chair the services of one or more analysts from the Library of Parliament to assist it in its work. You're all in favor?
C'est beau. Madame la greffière.
Madam Clerk, should I continue, or will you appoint analysts right away?
Action, then we can go on consensus. Committee wishes.
Super. Alors, numéro 2, sous-comité du programme.
Subcommittee on private member Subcommittee on Agenda and Procedure, that the Subcommittee on Agenda and Procedure be established and be composed of 5 members, the chair, 1 member from each party, and that the subcommittee work in a spirit of collaboration.
Colleagues, it's been my experience that oftentimes we have a subcommittee, and because we work independently, again, to go back to the first principle I mentioned, that the subcommittee meets and then we have to go through a whole business meeting anyway. I am, again, at your disposal, but it's been my experience in committees that if we do a collective business meeting, then everybody has their voice at that time, and we don't have to rewrite anything that the subcommittee's done, and can continue on with the business that's dealt with by the majority of the committee. Again, I'll leave that to your decision.
Chair?
Mr. Angus.
Yes, I've been on multiple committees, and sometimes it's more efficient to have full committee meetings for business because we have to bring it back. In terms of ethics, I'm fine if we do try a subcommittee to get something that comes forward, but either way, it has to come back to the full committee. So maybe we should just schedule committee business meetings. I'm open either way.
Ms. Shanahan?
Yes, Chair. I can see the utility of using the full committee, of course, to discuss issues. But can we just keep the option open of having subcommittee if it, we're talking about things of scheduling and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else want to weigh in on this issue?
Yeah, Chair.
Mr. Barrett.
Yeah, and so I concur that we can reserve the option to use the subcommittee, but I think that by and large, if we can just have a business meeting of the full committee, that we'll accept when necessary to just have a sub. I think that your proposal is reasonable.
So then I think, okay, go ahead, Mr. Fergus.
So I do think, Mr. Speaker, that having the subcommittee is very important, just because of now that we are moving towards hybrid committees. I believe Proc has moved down that line. There are just some discussions which are going to become a little bit more stilted and perhaps longer if we were to have them in full committee. So I do like having subcommittee, and for the purpose that it was set up, I think it would be actually a lot more efficient than having these discussions, just because there's not the same easy back and forth as we have, so I would strongly suggest that we use. I think subcommittees are going to become more important than they used to be in this new constellation.
Okay. Like if we can try on a collaborative aspect here, colleagues, do you want to go with a subcommittee right away, or would you like to do business and have, I mean, it would just mean that we would amend this motion by saying that the committee has the option of using a subcommittee for future agendas. So I'll leave that to you, and it looks like Mr. Sorbera has a point as well.
I'd like to just concur with MP Shanahan on this. I think we can keep the option in Chair. In terms of what you said, if we keep both options, that'd be great. I think we're in this now virtual world of committees again, and having full flexibility and working in a spirit of collaboration amongst all MPs and amongst all parties, I think is the best way to go. It's nice to have the full committee discuss the business and get all the information out there so we all understand what's going on, especially because we're not sitting, most of us will not be in Ottawa during this time. I think it lends well to building some camaraderie amongst us as well.
Okay, colleagues, is there some consensus that we'll go ahead with business of the full committee with the option of a subcommittee, or do we need to go to a vote? I try to do consensus as much as I can, but if we need to go to a vote, that we can do that as well.
I'm fine.
For reasons that I raised earlier, Mr. Mr. Chair, I'd prefer subcommittees. So there you go.
So would you prefer a vote then, Mr. Fergus?
Not a vote. I just think we should just keep it on the books, and I think we'll quickly discover that that there's just some things which it would be a better use of committee time as long as we have that flexibility to go to subcommittee. It's a legitimate tool, and I think it's one that will become increasingly important in this hybrid world.
Okay, then my suggestion would be, and of course the clerk can massage the wording, that the option remains open for the committee to use a subcommittee on agenda, and we'll leave that there so that any time that committee members feel that we've hit a log jam and we need to use a subcommittee, then we can do that at a moment's notice with somebody just raising a point. Ms. Shanahan?
I just wanted to say that it seems to me that option is already included in the existing wording, because that was our usage in the first session. We didn't have a subcommittee necessarily every time, but knowing that we had that option, and I think it did come about by consensus. Is this better to go to subcommittee or better to be discussed in full? So I don't see any need to change the wording as is, and I'm just wondering. I see the clerk was nodding her head. If maybe she could speak to that.
Sure, Mr. Chair, if you'd like, I'll say that having it in the routine motions means you can use it if you wish, but it doesn't oblige you to use it if the committee doesn't see the need. So it's just kind of the fallback to have it there and then use it when necessary, but not necessarily.
Okay, colleagues, everybody agreed. We'll accept this motion then.
Yeah.
I like the way that the clerk used William Lyon Mackenzie King's formulation.
You may continue, Mr. Ferguson.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Numéro 3, séance sans quorum.
Meeting without a quorum. That the chair be authorized to hold meetings to receive evidence and to have that evidence printed when a quorum is not present, provided that at least 4 members are present, including 1 member of the opposition and 1 member of the government. But when traveling outside of the parliament precinct, that the meeting begin after 15 minutes, regardless of members present.
Mr. Fergus, that motion will be accepted then, and we can move on to the next one.
Numéro 4, temps alloué pour les allocutions.
Number 4, time for opening remarks and questioning of witnesses. That witnesses be given 10 minutes for their opening statement. That at the discretion of the chair, during the questioning of witnesses, there be allocated 6 minutes for the first questioner of each party as follows. Round 1. Conservative Party, Liberal Party, Bloc Québécois, New Democratic Party. For the second and subsequent rounds, the order and time for questioning be as follows. Conservative Party, 5 minutes. Liberal Party, 5 minutes. Conservative Party, 5 minutes. Liberal Party, 5 minutes. Bloc Québécois, 2.5 minutes. And for the New Democratic Party, 2.5 minutes.
By the way, I'm seeing the manual hands up pretty good, so that's thank you, colleagues. Go ahead, Mr. Angus.
Yes, well, congratulations, Chair. I'm really looking forward to working with you on this committee. This motion is different than what was adopted at PROC. And I think since PROC is the great mother of all the committees, that we should be in line with their amendment, which would be, and I would move this, that for the second and subsequent rounds, the order and time for questioning be as follows. Conservative Party 5 minutes, Liberal Party 5 minutes, Bloc Québécois 2.5 minutes, New Democratic Party 2.5 minutes, Conservative Party 5 minutes, Liberal Party 5 minutes.
Any comment, colleagues? We're not really bound to the proc or this motion. We are in control of our own destiny. So, Madam Goodall.
En effet,
Indeed. I agree that we should follow what is decided at proc. That's it. I understand the situation, especially with video conferences. Sometimes there are service interruptions and we may be short on time. And I think it's important to give everyone the opportunity to ask their questions. With that in mind, I propose a friendly amendment to cut witness statements at 7 minutes. It is important to hear the witnesses, but it's through questions that we really get the important information from members.
Mr. Fergus.
Je pense que ce que Madame
I think that what has been suggested follows Proc's decision. And if I remember correctly, it's 5 to 7 minutes for witness statements. That's what was decided at Proc. I think that will allow all the parties to ask their questions, and 5 to 7 minutes is enough for witnesses, as Ms. Shanahan just said.
Mr. Sorberry, you'll need to unmute.
Yep. Thank you, Chair. The amendment or the suggestion to follow PROC is something that I'm in favor with in terms of the precedent there, and in terms of cutting the witness time down. I think my experience in the last 6 years of sitting on a couple of committees or quite onerous committees is that 5 to 7 minutes is plenty of time. I think in today's virtual world, in terms of the time lag, sometimes we need to cut down a little bit in terms of the witnesses, so we can allow all the questioners their time to get their thoughts and ideas forth. In terms of the second round of changes there, again, we all have plenty of time to ask questions, and as we move along here in this committee, and I have no issues with that. I look at this as sort of just rearranging the chairs, but the chairs will still all be utilized, and everybody will be able to ask their questions to the witnesses and get their thoughts out. So I think we can move forward on that, and cut down to 5 minutes would be perfect on the witness.
As long as we're not on a cruise ship moving the chairs, I'm fine. Mr. Barrett.
Now with COVID.
Yeah, so the wording presented by Mr. Angus is just based on listening is consistent with what Proc had said, and is the traditional speaking order as well. Am I correct, through you, Chair, to Mr. Angus? Was it just the length of time that was amended, or was there also an adjustment to the order in which questions would be asked? Through you, Chair.
Yeah, I will. Madam Goodrow's on the next list, but with her indulgence, I just have Mr. Angus respond to that.
Yeah, so because we're dealing with two things now. In terms of the order, it just the Bloc Québécois and New Democratic Party do not get any extra time. It just shifts the time order of when we speak. Madame Shanahan's motion going from 5 to 7 minutes is different than Proc, which said 5 minutes, but I certainly support a 5 to 7 variable for our committee, because sometimes we have extraordinarily important people speak and other times we have a number of people speak. So I prefer Ms. Shanahan's 5 to 7. Then in the second round, it is Conservative Party 5 minutes, Liberal Party 5 minutes, Bloc Québécois 2.5 minutes, New Democratic Party 2.5 minutes, Conservative Party 5 minutes, Liberal Party 5 minutes, and then of course the rounds would repeat if we go into third and fourth rounds. So I figure that this would be pretty much straightforward, and if we cut the time down of speakers, it does give everybody opportunity.
I concur, Chair.
Okay, Madam Goodrow.
Yeah, I just want to state that we're using Zoom. And when chairs do a great job, it has still happened that we weren't able to move to a second round of questions. I think that this amendment to the second round will allow for proper fairness. I think that we should do what Proc did. We'll be able rather to see that it's effective, but we also won't be so focused on time because sometimes witnesses will respond and we run out of time. And for fairness and efficiency, that's why I support that we follow what Proc has proposed. Thank you.
Did you have more comment?
No.
Then I sense that there's an agreement to go ahead with the reordering of the speaking according to the motion of Proc. Is that agreed?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, agreed. Then I'll have the clerk make that amendment, and we'll accept that routine motion as amended.
Monsieur le Président, puis-je continuer?
May I continue, Mr. Chair? Yes, of course. Thank you so much. Number 5, document distribution. That the clerk of the committee be authorized to distribute documents to members of the committee only when the documents are available in both official languages and that witnesses be advised accordingly.
Oui.
So ordered. Continue, Mr. Fergus.
Merci. Numéro 6.
Number 6, working meals. That the clerk of the committee be authorized to make the necessary arrangements to provide working meals for the committee and its subcommittees.
Shanahan, you had a comment?
Chair, I didn't want to interrupt, but I just wanted to confirm that the friendly amendment was accepted for the 5 to 7 minutes back in number 4 for presentation time.
That is correct, Madam Shanahan.
Thank you very much.
Colleagues, are we okay with this motion on working lunches? And colleagues, also with this pandemic, rather than go into a lot of nuance in the wording, let's just keep it to the discretion of the chair, to the clerk, because there's been some complications with the parliamentary restaurant, et cetera. And so I think if you're going to be in Ottawa and you're going to be at the hybrid meeting, then just do your best to notify the clerk. Obviously, if you're calling in Zoom, then it's pretty tough for us to get a working meal to you anyway. But if you do that, then this motion should suffice for all of our nutritional needs.
So I was hoping for delivery at the home, Mr. Chair. Jeez, rat.
What a network we'd need, sir.
I'm sorry, I lost your connection there, Mr. Chair. Did anybody else have a little glitch?
Is that good now? I was just mentioning that we'd need quite a network in order to make sure we fed you all.
Excellent.
Please continue, Mr. Fergus. I will assume that working meals is accepted by the committee.
Merci beaucoup. Numéro 7.
Number 7. Travel, accommodation, and living expenses of witnesses. That, if requested, reasonable travel, accommodation, and living expenses be reimbursed to witnesses not exceeding 2 representatives per organization, provided that, in exceptional circumstances, payment for representatives be made at the discretion of the chair.
Comments on this motion, colleague? I suspect that obviously with this pandemic that the vast majority of our witnesses will be via Zoom anyway, and that will eliminate any need for expenses. So we'll assume that that's accepted by the committee. Mr. Fergus, and you can continue.
Thank you, sir. Access to camera meetings. That, unless otherwise ordered, each committee member is be allowed to have one staff member at an in-camera meeting, and that one additional person from each House officer's office be allowed to be present.
Clerk, this is one of the changes with the Zoom meeting. I know that we always did that with live meetings, but I assume that when we're talking about staff members that they would Zoom in, and they're not going to be in the actual hybrid room on the Hill. Is that correct?
I assume that's correct, but still, the question is about how many can actually be present, whether on Zoom or in person.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to make sure regarding health and safety for future direction, but are those numbers good for everyone? Okay, that motion's agreed then. And like I said, I think as regards to health and safety, when we have the hybrid meetings, I know there's always a limit to individuals in the actual committee room. And so we'll have to deal with that on a case-by-case basis. If you're in Ottawa and you're going to be attending and we end up in camera, then most likely your staff would have to Zoom in and not be present in the actual room. Please proceed, Mr. Fergus.
Merci.
Thank you. Number 9. Transcripts of in-camera meetings. That one copy of the transcript of each in-camera meeting be kept in the committee clerk's office for consultation by members of the committee or by their staff.
Okay, I see agreement. Then, Mr. Fergus, you can continue.
Numéro 10, avis de motion.
Number 10. Notice of motion. That a 48-hour notice, interpreted as 2 nights, shall be required for any substantive motion to be considered by the committee unless the substantive motion relates directly to business then under consideration, provided that 1. The notice be filed with the clerk of the committee no later than 4 p.m. from Monday to Friday. That 2. The motion be distributed to members in both official languages by the clerk on the same day the said notice was transmitted, if it was received no later than the deadline hour. And that 3. Notices received after the deadline hour or on non-business days be deemed to have been received during the next business day, and that when the committee is traveling on official business, no substantive motions may be moved.
Colleagues? Seeing none, do we have agreement on this motion? Thank you, colleagues. Agreed. Thank you, Mr. Fergus. We'll consider that motion carried, and you can continue.
Other in-camera meetings. That the committee may meet in camera only for the following purposes. A, to consider a draft report. B, to attend briefings concerning national security. C, to consider lists of witnesses. D, for any other reason with the unanimous consent of the committee. That all votes taken in camera, with the exception of votes regarding the consideration of draft reports, be recorded in the minutes of proceedings, including how each member voted when recorded votes are requested. That any motion to sit in camera is debatable and amendable.
Mr. Angus.
Thank you. It came up theoretically in the WE study, I believe, in the discussions at finance, and that hasn't been tested out, but whether or not there may be a time where you want to have a in-camera session with a witness that may.
Sorry, I missed Mr. Is anybody else having trouble with Mr. Angus, or is it just my connection?
My audio is fine. Mr. Angus, would you just begin again to make sure Mr. Fergus can hear you?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. In terms of in-camera meetings, it was a hypothetical with the WE study at finance, whether or not certain witnesses may provide testimony in camera because of their concerns and our ability to receive that information. As well, in the last parliament with the ethics study, we had in-camera presentations on key investigations that were going on in other jurisdictions. And it was felt that an in-camera briefing to our committee allowed us to know what was going on without compromising investigations that were taking place. So I'm not sure if the language around this motion covers that the ability of committee to receive extraordinary information that needs to be, where the source needs to be protected, would be part of an in-camera meeting.
I for some reason, I don't have a copy of that motion, and I apologize. I've got a list here, but for some reason I don't have that. But so I'll refer to the clerk. Is that would that, Mr. Angus's point, would that the motion does say with the majority of the committee we go into camera anyway. So
yeah, I don't have that version either. But I expect that the committee can agree to go in camera when it chooses.
And I think again, clerk, it's been a few years, so generally speaking, an in-camera a motion to in-camera is a dilatory motion. It's generally not debated, and that the reason being that oftentimes the safety and security of witnesses in a debate would be compromised while we're debating whether we go into camera. Is that correct, or am I?
Generally speaking, an in-camera motion is not debatable unless there's a condition attached to it. But if the committee wishes for that to be the case, then they can do that.
Thank you, Mr. Fergus.
D'après mes informations, Monsieur le Président.
Based on my information, Mr. Chair, this motion came from the clerk of the House of Commons. So, Madam Clerk, I hope I haven't been disrespectful to the committee, but that's the information I had received.
Does everybody else have a copy of this motion?
Yep.
Okay. If everybody else.
Sorry, Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Barrett.
So, and which motion are you referring? I have a copy of the routine motions that were distributed.
I'm talking about the motion that Mr. Fergus just read out. It's not on my copy of routine motions, nor on the clerk's copy. And I just wanted to, I can navigate that as long as everybody else has a copy. But you all need to have a written copy in front of you of what was said in order to really make a proper judgment.
I don't have a copy of that.
So, Mr.
Mr.
Fergus,
Chair?
yes, go ahead, Clerk.
Sorry, I'm just working to see if I can get us a copy of that.
Okay, can we go on to the
Or
next?
he can read it into the record if the
Yeah.
committee.
Can I do a point of
Mr. Sorbera?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Can we have MP Fergus, Deputy Fergus, reread the routine motion, the other in-camera meeting routine motions that he has, and have it read into record, and during that time have the clerk distribute that copy to all the members, please.
Absolutely, Mr. Fergus will have you read it into the record, and then we'll just take some time to have the clerk pass it on to us.
My understanding is that another copy has been sent to the clerk, and hopefully in both official languages. It's other in-camera meetings, that the committee be allowed to set a camera for the following purposes: preliminary study of a draft report, briefing sessions on national security issues. C, the witness selection. D, for any other reason, provided unanimous consensus of the committee, that all votes taken in camera, except votes regarding study of draft report, be registered in the minutes, including individual votes by each member when a nominal vote is called. A recorded division is called. Sorry, that any motion about an in-camera session be debatable and amended.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
In response to what Mr. Angus has proposed, and in rereading the subsequent paragraphs, would his idea not be included in paragraph D, when we say for any other reasons, with the unanimous consent of the committee?
Except the fact that it's unanimous, it would have to be unanimous in order to do that, and not just by a majority, as long as that's very clear.
Correct, but I'm just proposing or suggesting that, you know, by reading that subparagraph of D, I think that maybe that question could be included, or that possibly could be included. I understand there's now a question of unanimous consent and majority consent, but I just wanted to bring it forward.
Mr. Angus.
Yes, well, I'm going to make things even more complicated, because what Mr. Fergus read is not what was adopted at our last adoption of the routine motions. The routine motion that we adopted the last time read that any motion to go in camera should be debatable and amendable, and that the committee may only meet in camera for the following purposes: A, to discuss administrative matters of the committee and witness selection; B, examine draft reports; C, briefings concerning national security; and D, to discuss matters involving an individual's private information. And furthermore, minutes of in-camera meetings should reflect on the results of all votes taken by the committee, with the exception of votes regarding the consideration of a draft report, including how each member voted when a recorded vote is requested. So that was the language of our last committee.
All right, colleagues, we have we've got a couple of versions here. I don't have either one in writing myself at this point, but I'll go to Madam Shanahan.
Thank you, Chair, and I thank my colleague for that clarification, because I was looking for that that earlier wording as well. So I'd like to have some clarification whether what we're dealing with, what Mr. Fergus has read out, encompasses what we did in the last session, as Mr. Angus just read out. Or perhaps I suggest a 5-minute pause, maybe that the clerk can have a chance to take a look at this. And I understand that there's various versions and, email. We don't always open the right email, I guess, or I don't know. I'm seeing different versions as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I apologize. I actually do have that. However, it wasn't. It's right at it's the second to last where it says other routine motions. I do have the version that Mr. Angus has mentioned. I don't have the other version with me, and I think if we want to take a look at both of them, we'll have to suspend and wait for the clerk to give us a copy of the one that Mr. Fergus read, and then you can compare them and we can debate them. Mr. Angus.
Yeah, Chair, I think the fundamental change that we agreed the last time was that the motion to go in camera should be debatable and amendable, so that we didn't have committees just interrupted by someone who said, I vote to go in camera, then we'd have to suspend. And it's upended discussions before. It was like, well, then we'd have to vote. So it's moving it out from being a dilatory motion to something the committee agrees to go in camera. That was the fundamental change between what we adopted the last time and what Mr. Fergus's motion has.
Okay, colleagues, we'll just suspend for a minute or two. We'll make sure that we have both copies, and then I will go back and confer with you, and we'll see where we want to go with this particular motion.
what we want to be able to hear when we go in camera, and for the other reasons, I think point D, for any other reasons, with unanimous consent. With unanimous consent of the committee, captures what Charlie was talking about, MP Angus was talking about. So I think I think we should stick to what the head clerk has recommended the committee to look at in terms of when we go to other in-camera meetings and the points there. That is my humble suggestion for the committee.
Okay, colleagues, I'm sorry again. Video, getting used to all this stuff, so I have to officially unsuspend the meeting. So now we are unsuspended. I think just wait for a minute, and then Mr. Cervera, you can make your point again. So just give it maybe 10 or 15 seconds, and then you can go ahead and make your point again.
Okay, if the committee is now unsuspended, I will now speak. Thank you, Chair, again for your traveling with us, or I guess you're the not the driver, but the person that's taking us to where we need to go. Navigator, if I can use that term. Like I said a few seconds ago, the drafting of this routine motion was on recommendation of the head clerk. This is not a partisan thing in any way. It's my understanding is to clarify and avoid possibly unintended consequences in the future of when we go in camera. I think the 4 points from A to D incorporate what Mr. Angus was referencing in terms of when possible scenarios that we would have to go in camera and deal with scenarios that may present itself with regards to this committee. I think this routine motion is quite, if I can use the word, innocuous, or this point of the routine motions is quite innocuous and pretty self-explanatory. I think we should adopt it as recommended by the head clerk. Thank you.
To be clear, Mr. Cervera, and then I'll move on to the next person on the speakers list. The version that you're approving is the one that Mr. Fergus read, or the one that was on the routine motions that we received?
The version that was just received in via the clerk, our clerk, and that was exactly the same as the one that Mr. Fergus read.
Thank you, Mr. Cervera, for that clarification. Now, Mr. Barrett.
I'm good. I'll yield my time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Angus.
Yes, thank you. Having both of them in writing, I do notice that the one does at the bottom say it is debatable, because that was something that wasn't in the previous standing orders. So I think that what Mr. Fergus has offered is fair. It's just the ability of committee to decide whether or not we should go in camera should be a debatable issue. And then when we go in camera, the rest of the matter is totally applicable. So I'm fine with it.
Madam Shanahan.
Yes, I'm very happy that we've had a better clarification, because I fully appreciate the importance of going into camera when necessary. So I support the motion as was just read by Mr. Fergus, and that we just received from the clerk. I'm happy to hear that Mr. Angus agrees that the debatable part that we leave that option, for looking for this committee to make that decision at future time. So I think that the motion as drafted by the head clerk is I'm in support of it. It covers all the bases.
Thank you very much, Madam Shanahan. I have nobody else on the speakers list, and I sense that there's consensus around the version that Mr. Fergus read and the most recent version, of course, which is the same that the clerk sent to you. Is that correct, everyone? Okay, thank you. Then the clerk will make the amendments, and that motion is passed. Mr. Fergus, is the next motion that you're going to read, does it say orders of reference?
It does.
Excellent. Then we're on the same page. Continuez, s'il vous plaît.
I always like causing trouble wherever I go, David, as you know, and I'm so sorry about the the confusion to all of my colleagues here, but I'm glad that we came out on the right side, and you know that I wasn't trying to pull a fast one on anyone here. Other orders of reference from the House respecting bills. That in relation to orders of reference from the House respecting bills, A, the clerk of the committee shall, upon the committee receiving such an order of reference, write to each member who is not a member of a caucus represented on the committee to invite those members to file with the clerk of the committee in both official languages any amendments to the bill, which is the subject of the said order, which they would suggest that the committee consider. B, suggested amendments filed. I'm sorry. I do not have the next page, but I will read it in French because or you want me to do a quick translation? B, les amendements.
B, amendments tabled pursuant to paragraph A.
Amendments filed as described in section A at least 48 hours.
Is that all you have there, Mr.
That is all that I have here. Am I missing? I am missing something, Madame la Greffière?
Yeah. There's quite a bit after.
I see it here electronically. So, forgive me. So, oh no, that is all I have on my electronic version. It just stops right there.
Okay, the version I have in front of me continues on that at least 48 hours prior to the start of clause by clause consideration of the bill to which the amendments relate shall be deemed to be proposed during the said consideration, provided that the committee may, by motion, vary this deadline in respect of a given bill. And C, during the clause by clause consideration of a bill, the chair shall allow a member who filed suggested amendments pursuant to paragraph A an opportunity to make brief representations in support of them. Is that what everyone else has in the committee? Madam Shanahan?
My document as well has been cut off, so I'd like to hear from the clerk as to just to confirm that is the motion as read as well as the previous one.
So the motion that the chair just read was the motion that was adopted at the first meeting of the last session. The end part that he read of continuing from Mr. Fergus's motion.
And if I could ask another question of the clerk, Chair, are there any other items after that?
Not that I know, no.
Okay, thank you very much.
Once again, Mr. Chair, you've just like our running, you carry me home.
Well, I think that's an overstatement, but colleagues, do we need to suspend again and make sure that everybody has a consistent copy? Yes, I see Mr. Dong. So even if there's one person, then we'll suspend briefly, and don't worry, I'll remember to unsuspend next time. We're going to suspend briefly, and we'll make sure the clerk gets into your 9 account the specific motion that we have in front of us, so we're all agreed upon it. that I have in front of me.
Sorry, point of order.
Mr. Angus.
Yeah, so we're finished the amendments then? Is this the routine proceedings? Are we done this?
No, not yet, Mr. Angus. We're still on the order of reference from the House representing bills because it was cut off on Mr. Fergus's copy. So we've just sent a copy to everybody's P9.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay, now that we're unsuspended, Mr. Dong.
Chair, I was just raising my hand to ask if you could suspend the meeting. Now I just lowered my hand.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then, Mr. Angus, I suspect that that was what you wanted to clarify. You're on the speaking list here.
The routine proceedings motions are fine with me. I think we can move on.
All right, colleagues, is there consensus on the motion that was sent to you that we can approve that as a committee? Excellent. Then, clerk, that's been passed.
Okay, so now my point of order.
Well, I have one more small thing on mine. I just don't know.
I'll leave it to you, and then if you could.
Mr. Fergus, do you have this one last small sentence in regards to webcasting and television?
Afraid I do not, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, it's rather a moot point anyway because of the nature of where we're at right now, but I'll read it because I have it in front of me that where practicable and possible, all meetings other than those deemed in camera will be televised, or if it's not possible, then webcast. Mr. Barrett.
Thank you, Chair. Just for clarification and through you to the clerk, I recall that my colleague, Mr. Keurig, put forth an amendment last time we did these, and I'm just wondering if this is consistent with, and I feel like the ends that he was seeking are achieved with the wording here, and is that and again through you, Chair, just if this wording achieves the same effect that we were seeking during the previous session, and that is that whenever it's possible, it's going to be a webcast, and when it's not possible, it's not possible.
I think that's what it's saying, but I will confer with the clerk to be sure because I have no history here.
It's true. It's largely dictated by resources rather than motion, but where possible, as the motion says, I can endeavor to have things televised or webcast, certainly.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Clerk.
All right, colleagues, that is all the routine motions that I have in front of me, and we'll now go to those people who have motions. I'm going to
sorry, it's a point of order.
Go ahead, Mr.
Yes, because we are in an unprecedented situation because prorogation interrupted the study that was underway. And part of that study was about, we had asked for documents from the Speaker Spotlight regarding the members of the Trudeau family who were paid, but we were never told whether we have those documents. If those documents do exist with the clerk, are we able to access them? And we also need to be looking at how we access them virtually, because when we had asked for them originally, we were present. So I think we can't let this issue slip, because we had our work interfered with by prorogation, and these issues of documents and the security of the documents and how we handle the documents, I think, to me, is a top of mind issue that we need to address.
Thank you, Mr. Angus. My understanding of procedure is that that happened in the last session. So certainly if the committee would like to bring forward what was done in the last session, then the committee can vote on that, and we can bring not only the previous study, but the evidence forward from the last session. So basically the order for obtaining of documents would have to be readopted by this committee.
Okay, and then we should.
Chair, just to clarify on this, if I may speak.
Go ahead, Mr. Dong.
So are you saying that we need that there should be an official motion for the committee to agree to bring back those documents?
That's correct.
For correction. Okay, thank you.
Madam Shanahan.
That's my question as well. Thank you.
Madame Goudreau.
Since a notice of motion will be presented, I'd like to tell you that it is definitely related to the continuity of our experience. I think we are at a point when we could restructure ourselves to be efficient and to do our work properly, and obviously to obtain as many documents as possible for transparency and equity. I don't know what are the other comments. Time is running by fast. We are extremely efficient, and I hope we can continue in this manner.
On the speakers list, but just for fairness, I did have 5 names. I'm going to refer back to the clerk who they are in order in which they were given before we went to routine motions of people who were desirous of moving a motion. And so that if that comes up during the motions that people desire to make in regards to bringing the study and the request for documents forward, then certainly we can do that during that time. And I'll just exhaust these other comments before that, and then we'll get back to that list ASAP. Mr. Fergus.
Wait, okay, good. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, rather, thank you very much. I just want to seek clarification from you or the clerk. Are we still on a point of order?
Well, Mr. Angus had a point of order for clarification, and now I'm just taking comments before I go to the list of people in the order in which they raised their hand as far as motions, and I will give that to you right now. As Mademoiselle Goudreau, Mr. Barrett, Mr. Dong, Madam Shanahan, Tanzio, and then Mr. Angus. That's the order that I have right now.
Point of order a second time.
Okay, Mr. Angus.
Well, was my understanding from Madame Goudreau, I wasn't sure if she was making a statement or a motion, but she said she wanted to bring forward the continuity of the work that had been. To me, that is a motion that she is bringing forward to restart the work that previously been done. So I want to clarify, because if that's the case with Madame Goudreau, then I think we're actually on her motion.
Yeah, I'm just exhausting comments now after the routine motions, but I'm going to go back. Madam Goudreau is the first one on the list. And the last comment that I have, or last hand up, was Mr. Barrett. So I'll just go to Mr. Barrett, and I'm going to go directly to Mademoiselle Goudreau, who can move. If that's the motion that she has, she can move it. Mr. Barrett.
I won't get in the way of that. Mr. Chair, I concur with Mr. Angus and with Ms. Gaudreau's comments, and she was first on the list to move a motion. And so to you, Chair.
Ms. Gaudreau.
Bon, merci.
Thank you. Am I now presenting my motion, or are we still in a discussion whether we want to take back the documents that were submitted during the previous session?
OK, excellent. Donc, merveilleux. Ben, en fait,
great. I do appreciate to be able to do it now, since we were already wondering about continuation of the work. So my proposal is, in order to be efficient and to respect the needs we have during this pandemic, to respect what had been submitted in previous month, but that had been. But also, I would like to complete what was about to be achieved before prorogation. You have to know, dear colleagues, that eventually I'll be submitting there will be 3 other notices of motions. I want to give you a preview, but I'll mention the main one. There is a concern to avoid and prevent conflict of interests. So I will have a motion on this matter to make sure that in all federal government policies in terms of procurement and so on, during this session, that we'll be able to make sure that all documents will be available, and the purpose will be to prevent conflict of interest.
There will also be a motion tabled on the powers of the Conflict of Interests Commissioner. We talked a lot about this over the summer. And another motion that I had already tabled regarding protecting private information. There was a motion regarding the protection of personal information. So today I'd like to talk about efficiency. And I had a question to ask. Have we already melded what is useful and what is effective? I was told that yes, I'm a new MP. I have a lot of questions, but I also have a lot of recommendations. What I propose today is a special committee on the creation of the Canada Grant for Students. The clerk has received this proposal. I propose that I read it so that you're able to hear it. Usually, I would have liked to table it because we'd be compliant. We wouldn't have been able to do so 48 hours in advance, but I will read it. Yes, Madam Clerk? We can't hear you. I think you might be on mute. Would you like for me to send this to the members? Yeah, you can send it as I read it. Thank you. So I'll start. That the Standing Committee on Access to Information, Privacy, and Ethics sends a report to the House of Commons of the following recommendation. That the Standing Committee on Access to Information, Privacy, and Ethics recommend to the House the creation of a special committee that would be responsible for the creation of the grant for volunteering for students that includes preventing conflict of interest in federal government spending, in spending incurred by the government, the We Charity. Because the government chose We Charity, a unilingual English organization for this grant, there are a few things to say. That the committee include 11 MPs, 5 of the government, 4 from the official opposition, 1 from the Bloc Québécois, and 1 from the NDP. That these changes made to the composition of the committee be implemented as soon as the whip's notice is tabled to the House Clerk. That the members of the committee can be replaced. That the members be named by the whip of their respective parties through the Clerk of the House, and that be done at least 3 days after the adoption of this motion by the House. That the Clerk of the House calls for an organizational meeting of the committee at the latest 5 days after the adoption of this motion. I only have a few things left. That the committee have as chair a member of the official opposition. Notwithstanding 106.2, other than the chair, the committee should have a vice chair from the official opposition, from the Bloc Québécois, and from the NDP. That quorum of the committee comply with Section 118, and that the chair be authorized to hold sittings in order to receive and publish hearings if there isn't quorum, if at least 4 members are present, including 1 member of the opposition and 1 member of the government. The committee needs to have the power to travel with necessary staff outside Canada, that the committee has the power to authorize the video and audio publication of its deliberations, that this committee resume the work of the following committees: the Standing Committee on Access to Information, Privacy and Ethics, Finance Committee, the Standing Committee on Official Languages, and that this Standing Committee on Government Affairs, that the documents and testimonies of these committees be considered to have been created in the work of this current committee. And lastly, the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, the Finance Minister, the Minister of Diversity, Inclusion and Youth, and the Leader of the House be invited to testify in front of the committee when the committee decides. In brief, can we continue the main goal of the Ethics Committee with what we tabled? And also, can we put in place a special committee in order to shed light on all of this? But we also want to take into account the current situation. We need to move forward because there are important issues beyond the pandemic that we need to focus on. It would be good for all of us in this ethics committee, with all the motions that are going to be tabled and extremely important. But also, we need to be able to conclude what we were doing this summer before August 13th. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Barrett.
Chair, Madame Gaudreau did request that the document be distributed to members of the committee, and I'm not in receipt of it, and so I'm just wondering if it's been sent, and I'm just looking at the clerk there, and so I'll leave that with you, and so I'd just like to be able to see the document. A very interesting idea, a special committee to address this issue. So look forward to receiving that. Thank you, Chair.
From what I know of body language and facial expressions, I suspect that the clerk has sent it, and at least felt that she has, and she's dealing with it right now.
Thank you, Chair.
Colleagues, a practical insertion here. It's 12:39 p.m. Our conclusion is at 1 p.m. We've only covered one motion now from Ms. Goudreau. I have 5 people on the speakers list, and I also have 4 more people that want to present motions. May I make a suggestion? And of course, you, if you're not in agreement, then we will continue on as we are. But my suggestion would be that we hear all the motions briefly, and then our next meeting, we will go one at a time in their order and debate each motion. Let me know if that's something that resonates with you.
Chair.
Mr. Barrett.
So just to your point, I don't want to step on the list of people who are speaking to that motion. With respect to your question specifically, if it's possible to address the motion that's on the floor, and I think that if we have the capacity with the clerk and analysts to continue the meeting until bells, I expect we should be able to get through one or more pieces of business, which would be preferable for me. Thank you, Chair.
Point of order. Point of order, Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Cervera.
Yes, my understanding is during committee time to go past a time that the committee was supposed to sit for, you require unanimous consent. Is that the same rules, or is that the rule for this committee as well? Clerk, can we get a ruling on that, please?
That is correct, Mr. Cervera. Okay, I'm going to go through the list of people who had their hands up right now, and let's exhaust that first, and then we'll deal with the 19 minutes that we have left. Mr. Angus.
Thank you. Je vous remercie pour
I would like to thank you for this very interesting motion. For me, the matter is whether or not we can create a new committee. The interpreter regrets, but she cannot hear because he's removed his headset.
Donc, je suis intéressant par cette motion ici, mais je pense qu'il y a potentiel pour une autre motion à le committee de finance aussi. I am interested in this motion. I'm concerned by a couple of things. Again, I don't know that ethics has the authority to create a special committee. But I think a special committee is where we want to go. I think a special committee will clear up our committees so that we can get to work. Right now we have 4 committees looking at the WE scandal. My understanding is that there's language that is more inclusive at finance about other financial issues that would make the committee broader and have a stronger mandate. So I'm interested in the language of that committee. But what I'm concerned about is even if we pass a motion today, calling on the House to create a special motion, that might take some time. It might take a lot of negotiating. I don't want that to interrupt the work that has been done. I think it's important that we actually still maintain our ability to look at the documents that we received, that if we have to continue with our witness list, we continue with the witness list as it was. So if the member is willing to sort of augment to say, in the meantime, we will continue with our work with the documents and that, then it allows the House leaders to look at this. I think it's a very interesting proposal to clear the decks from 4 committees that are very occupied with the WE issue. And it allows us to get onto the other issues. As Madame Goudreau said, there's many, many issues that are really important. But I would like to know if she's willing to add to it that the committee can calls for the reintroduction of the documents that we had obtained. Then we can have a separate discussion about how those documents are accessed, and that we include, we reintroduce the witness list and carry on until the House leaders come to a decision. I think that for me would be the best. In terms of the difference between the language with what the Finance Committee, I believe, is discussing and what the bloc members brought forward, I think if we brought forward a motion and Finance brings forward a motion, the House leaders can negotiate something that maybe between all parties we can find acceptable. So I'm very interested in this, but I want to make sure that if we have a long time delay while they negotiate, we're still able to finish off or bring forward the work. And if the larger committee is created, then the transfer of documents and transfer of information from our committee, I'm perfectly content to let this new special committee, for however long it's scheduled for, address those outstanding issues.
Thank you, Mr. Angus. Ms. Shanahan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to thank my colleague, Ms. Goudreau. Oh yeah, is my microphone okay? Perfect. Especially with regards to the fact that we have important work to do in this committee. There were very interesting motions that we had worked on, and I would like for them to be brought back.
I'm not sure, well, I might not be fully aware of all the discussions that took place in the various committees, and the idea of having a special committee. I think it's rather proc, and I share Mr. Angus' position. Based on the mandates of our committees, PROC is the committee dealing with that. I vote against the motion because I don't think it is part of our mandate. But the principle of for the ethics committee to discuss the issues of confidentiality, identity theft, and the digital issues. Those are the issues that should be debated by our committee. Thank you.
Fergus.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Puis,
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank Mrs. Goudreau for a motion. I would like to come back to two points. One raised by Mr. Angus. Is our committee entitled to, or has the right to create another special committee? I don't think so. Maybe Charlie made a small mistake. It was not referring to the Finance Committee, but rather to PROC. Or was it Finance? Yeah, no, it was PROC, indeed. So PROC is the committee that had the ability to create a new special committee. Secondly, and I'd like to have a clarification from Madam Clerk on Mr. Angus' point. Secondly, once again, if we decide to go back in time to review the work that had been done in the previous session, I assume that all measures that were adopted previously, if we want to continue this work, I think all the measures that were taken to review the documents, all those measures will still apply entirely in the same manner as they were applied before the prorogation. So I'd like to obtain clarifications from Madam Clerk on those two issues. Thirdly, I think it's not a bad idea to have a large committee to study it. I think it's up to the leaders in the House to negotiate this matter. So if possible, we should put this on hold. And secondly, I was very much looking forward to review a file that we had identified, a very important file for Native and Black Canadians, the digital identification, face profiling. I know that Mrs. Goudreau, Mr. Angus, and myself, we spoke on those matters. In fact, we are lucky that the companies didn't do much work on this topic because everybody is wearing a mask now. But at some point, pandemic will be over and they'll start again working on those issues. When as I said, studies have demonstrated that people with darker skin, Black people, are totally disadvantaged by this type of software. This is a window of the window of opportunities is getting narrower and narrower, and we must deal with this matter as a committee as quickly as possible, because if we miss the boat now, industry practices will move on and we'll never be able to frame those practices. For those reasons, I'd like negotiations to take place. PROC will make its own decision, create an entirely new committee, and ETHI should continue doing its work, work that will have a major impact on the life of racialized individuals, people who will be disadvantaged by the new technology when they resume their progress. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
To mention a couple of things. One is that after prorogation, everything is nullified that was done in a previous session. It would require a motion from this committee to bring it forward, whether it was the request for documents or any of the witness testimony. And you are correct in your observation that we can't order a new committee to be initiated. That would have to be the House, but we certainly through a motion we can make a recommendation to the House in that regard. So now I'll go on to Mr. Dong.
Thank you, Chair. It's really difficult to read through this motion, which I just received a few minutes ago, and try to understand the essence of it, and do a fair examination of the wording, while listening to my colleagues offering their input, their perspective on this motion. But I try to make the best of it. The first thing come to my mind is that I agree with my colleague MP Fergus and MP Shanahan saying about whether or not it's, and I think also MP Angus spoke about it too, whether or not our committee has the power to create a special committee. But I just heard from the chair that we can offer recommendation. But just to be clear, I'm sort of a newish member to all of these. if the clerk can clarify or read out the mandate of this committee again, so we have some, we have, we can make a comparison, apple to apple comparison. So if that's not too much trouble, I would like the clerk to kind of remind us, or for me at least, to read out the mandate of this committee. And again, this is a very substantial motion, and I would need some time to kind of digest this. But I think after prorogation, we're still on the right in the middle of COVID. The motion I'm about to bring forward will suggest the committee to study the implications of the new frontier of digital currency. We've seen that there's a lot more increased use of online services, financial and other areas as well during COVID. And going out of COVID, I think some of those sectors will be ready to thrive. And Canada usually benefits from the advancement of technology. And it shows in our GDP that technology sector has been the forefront of it. So I think it's quite urgent to study that something that not only connects to Canadians' daily life and their consumption behavior, as well on international trade. We can't lose out that, because it's highly competitive, and we need to get the front of it and making sure Canadians and Canadian businesses' privacy is protected, meanwhile maintaining a transparency on these transactions. So there are a lot of stuff that I think because of COVID and COVID exposed the priority of those areas that our committee owe to Canadians to start doing some investigation or hear from witness coming from these industries at least, and provide sound recommendation to the House. So I just need a bit more time to go through to examine the motion again. But at the same time, I hope if the clerk can clarify the mandate of our committee with us, so we can compare apple to apple. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Dong. I just want to remind colleagues that we're speaking to Ms. Goodrow's motion right now, and I certainly will have the clerk, after I exhaust the speakers list, refer back to the mandate of the committee, but I don't want to rob any of our committee members who have had their hand up for some time. And let me list off to you. It's Mr. Barrett, Mr. Sorbera, Mr. Workington, Ms. Goodrow, Tanzio, and Madam Shanahan. So go to Mr. Barrett now.
Chair, thanks very much. And again, I appreciate the motion moved by Madame Gaudreau, and will take the time to review it. I've heard from our colleagues that it doesn't look like there's going to be a consensus or success if this comes to a vote today. And I would like to say that the motion is its intent is laudable. I have, one. So with that said, Chair, I would like to move to adjourn the debate on Madame Gaudreau's motion to a future meeting. I think you're on mute, Chair.
Thank you. I'll get used to this. There's been a motion to adjourn a debate on this motion. Is it the pleasure of the committee to adjourn debate?
Yes.
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 Okay. With that said, then I
Point
have
of order, Chair.
Yes. Point of order.
Chair. There was a reference made to our adjournment time by yourself and verified by the clerk, and I just took a moment to review, and this is something that came up during some of our summer sessions with respect to adjournment. And in Boston Gagnon in chapter 20 on pages 1099, it says the committee chair cannot adjourn the meeting without the consent of a majority of the members unless the chair decides that a case of disorder or misconduct is so serious as to prevent the committee from continuing its work. Therefore, I withhold my consent to adjourn the meeting at 1 p.m.
Understood, Mr. Barrett. You're absolutely correct in regards to the majority of the committee continuing the meeting. We were talking about adjournment. There's a subtle difference, but there is a difference. So you're on record in that regard. Now, I still have a list of speakers here. Mr. Sorbera, Mr. Warkentin, Madam Goudreau.
Chair, that was to the motion, Chair, which we adjourned debate on.
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Barrett, but I was just confirming that with this speakers list that those people were all lined up for that motion. Is that correct, the names that I mentioned?
Yeah.
All right, then let me go back to my list.
Okay, so that's me next on your list, Chair?
That's correct, Mr. Barrett, that is you.
Point of
okay,
order.
Chair.
Sorry.
Point of order, Mr. Angus.
Yes, my understanding is to go past 1 o'clock. We need unanimous consent because the issue is I have to prepare for other work with the House.
It is my understanding that we have the resources to go past 1 p.m. and the only way we can adjourn is with the majority of the committee members saying they wish adjournment. Mr. Fergus.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to so move that we adjourn the meeting at this time.
Okay, just give me a moment, colleagues, if I could just suspend for a moment and we'll get back to Mr. Fergus's motion. Mr. Fergus has moved a motion to adjourn, and is there consensus in that regard?
We have a recorded vote, Chair.
We will need a recorded vote then, Madam Clerk.
Okay, I'll call the recorded division. All those in favor, please say yay. All those opposed, please say nay when your name is called. Mr. Dong?
Oui.
Mr. Fergus?
Oui.
Ms. Latanzio? Ms. Latanzio? Ms. Shanahan? Oh, I think you're on mute. Try again. Sorry. Ms. Shanahan? Okay, I'll try to come back. Ms. Latanzio? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. As you could have seen, I had technical difficulties reappearing on the screen. So can you please provide me the question, please? Is this on adjournment? Yes, I vote to adjourn.
Ms. Shanahan?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sorbera?
Yes, we.
Mr. Barrett?
Nay.
Monsieur Gould?
No.
Mr. Workington?
Nay.
Madame Gaudreau?
No.
No.
The results are 5-5. Mr. Chair?
All right, colleagues, my job as the chair would be to maintain the status quo and business as usual. And unless there's a resource issue, and I have to check with the clerk in that regard because of the COVID-19 situation we're in. If there's no resource issue, then we can continue on. Madam Clerk?
Confirmed there are no resource issues.
Okay, then the motion's been defeated and we'll go to Mr. Barrett.
Chair.
Chair.
And I have a motion I'd like to move.
Point of order, Chair.
Mr. Dong.
Just sorry, Mr. Barrett. Just to clarify, is the meeting going on till the bells start to ring? Because I believe there's something preparation I need to do for the question period.
Well, the meeting will continue on as long as the consent of the committee is maintained, Mr. Dong, and that is by the majority of the committee at the moment. So when we adjourn, we'll be at the bells or when there's another action by the committee.
Chair, and I will request through you, Chair, that the clerk transmit to all members of the committee this motion, which is in both official languages, and I'll read it into the record, Chair. That, pursuant to Standing Orders 108-1A, an order of the committee do issue to Speaker Spotlight for a copy of all records pertaining to speaking appearances arranged since October 14th, 2008, for Justin Trudeau, Sophie Gregoire Trudeau, Margaret Trudeau, and Alexandre Trudeau, including, in respect of each speaking appearance, an indication of the fee provided, any expenses that were reimbursed, and the name of the company, organization, person, or entity booking it, which had been originally ordered to be produced on July 22nd, 2020, by the Standing Committee on Access to Information, Privacy and Ethics, provided that these documents shall be provided to the clerk of the committee within 24 hours of the adoption of this motion, and that the documents be reviewed in camera.
There's a point of order?
Yes. Could I have clarification on the speakers list? There are hands raised already, or do we take our hands down and go back on?
Right now I have Mr. Workington, and that's all I have on the speakers list for this motion.
Okay. So I would like to be added to the speakers list.
Okay, we have Mr. Angus and Madam Shanahan as well. Mr. Workington.
I know that time is of the essence. I think Canadians expect us to get our move on. Obviously, prorogation shut down the work of this committee and would expect us to expeditiously move back to uncovering the truth that so many Canadians are desperate to learn. I would move that we move to a vote as soon as possible so that we can finalize this before we have other responsibilities.
Okay, Mr. Angus.
Yes, I'll keep my remarks very short. It was what I'd said earlier. Our work was interrupted by the Prime Minister's decision to shut down the work of Parliament. We have many outstanding issues that need to be addressed. These documents, I believe, have already been obtained. Our committee needs to access those documents. If we move to a larger committee where all these are brought together, those documents could be moved over. I can't see that there'd be any reason to interfere with a vote that our committee has already taken. We need to access those documents and move on. So I say let's move to a vote.
Ms. Shanahan.
correctly? Yes. Mr. Speaker, during the last session, when we were speaking about this kind of motion, we moved a motion regarding the in-camera treatment of the documents. And I'm not able to look at it right now, but I would like to suspend for 5 minutes with your if we could suspend for 5 minutes so that we can take a look at that, so that we can, if we're bringing back the work of the previous session, that we do so in its entirety, and I would look for the concurrence of the other members of the committee, because I think that we spoke at length about how important it was that the privacy and the confidentiality of these personal documents of individuals who are not members of Parliament, who are family members, be safeguarded in every respect. And I think that all members here, those that were with us in the last session and new members that are here now, can appreciate that it is not the place of this committee to be exposing people by no other reason but that they happen to be related or otherwise connected. And I think we saw in the code of connected with members of Parliament, and I think we saw in the code of ethics as well how there's a very particular definition about what family members are connected to any investigation. And I think it'll be very important for us to look at all of those parameters, and if it is going to be the will of this committee to bring back the examination of those documents, that it be done as we had agreed in the last session. So I do ask your indulgence if we could suspend for 5 minutes so that we can look at that, at those conditions, and perhaps it can be a friendly amendment to the motion at hand. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Shanahan. I would like to exhaust the other speakers who have put up their hand, but I think it's not a leap for me to say that whenever we request documents, we have a legal obligation in regard to those documents as a standing committee, and what would be my understanding that we certainly wouldn't want to break any privacy laws or anything in that regard, and a clerk would be looking at them. But I will go to the other
point of order.
Yeah, Mr. Angus, point of order.
Yeah, and I don't want to interrupt other speakers. I can certainly concur with Madame Shanahan because these are very special documents, and we had an arrangement to ensure the protection of them. I think COVID has made it a little more complex because many members of Parliament are no longer able to see personally. So I would agree with suspending for 5 minutes to see if we can work out the arrangement on this, because we have to ensure that we're doing the right thing with these documents. These documents are, very, very important. But we had an agreement, so I would support the motion to suspend, see if we can come up with a fair way of showing that we are going to treat these documents with care.
Is there some consensus around that regard? Okay, I didn't see a lot of heads nodding, so I'm going to go to the next speaker, Mr. Fergus.
Well, thank you very much. Maybe this might clarify it. I certainly understand what the points that Ms. Shanahan had brought up, and also I understand what Mr. Angus has brought up. But Mr. Chair, and it's no fault of your own, this being the first meeting in which you're sitting in the chair, but we did spend a considerable amount of time coming to it's a hard-fought consensus to try to figure out a way, as Mr. Angus and Ms. Shanahan had pointed out, on how we can respect the privacy of these documents which are being brought up. You quite instinctively and naturally, and with your longer parliamentary experience, raise the issue of that kind of fairness. Mr. Angus is correct that because of the pandemic, the situation has changed. I'm not certain if we can do this, give this justice in 5 minutes and no consideration whatsoever if we just proceed straight to a vote on this, on trying to figure out a way to respect the intent of the context in which we had set around the viewing of those documents in the last Parliament, and yet trying to making sure that we can bring that work forward so that we can discharge of our work properly. So, and in the context of the pandemic. So I'm just trying to figure out the process. It seems 5 minutes won't do us justice. I don't want to delay this. So I'm certain Mr. Barrett is just thinking, he's just looking to delay. I'm actually trying to just figure out, we need to have some time to figure this out because things have been really complexified by the fact that we're working online now. And it was precisely that type of argument that we had made why we didn't want to distribute those documents electronically because of the fact that, once it's out electronically, it's out. So that's the reason why we put on such special measures to making sure that we were respecting the privacy of the people who we requested these documents from. So I'm trying to figure out, how do you find that balance, Mr. Chair? And I turn to you and the clerk, but all I know is I bet you, I bet dollars to donuts that we're not going to figure this out in 5 minutes. So I don't know what we should do here.
Vote.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fergus. I still have Mr. Sorbera on the speakers list. So Mr. Sorbera.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Mr. Barrett for his motion. Is there any way that we can? There was a question posed to the clerk, and Chair, correct me if I'm wrong. You had mentioned that we would get that answer from the clerk at some point during this meeting about what the committee can and can't do in terms of recommendations. What basically the role or mandate of the committee is. As a new member of the committee, can we get that answer? If I can ask for it now, I'd like to have that answer now, but I would like to know, as a new member of the committee, what is the mandate of this committee?
Well, Mr. Sorbera, we can recommend anything as a standing committee. We are masters of our own destiny in that regard. I think that it's maybe a paragraph what our mandate is, and I can certainly have the clerk read that out now that we've had a couple of suggestions, unless there's some objection to that.
Objection.
Mr. Angus, okay.
If people show up at a committee and don't know what the committee's for, I don't think we should be taking valuable time to update them and educate them. They have a job to be prepared. We have a very important issue to deal with. I think we should deal with the issue and try and find a solution as possible.
Chair, my question was not in reference to whether the certain member had done or not done their homework prior to coming to committee. My question was in terms of a motion that was put forward in terms of the committee looking at setting up a committee, a special committee, and whether that was in the purview of the role of the committee and the mandate of the committee, which is just not in itself a small matter.
Yeah, Mr.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, sure. Just let me finish speaking. And I will certainly recognize you. We're circulating now. Thank you very much, Clerk. We're circulating now the mandate to everyone, to their 9 accounts on what the committee mandate is. And but I will reassert that any committee can recommend anything they like, and certainly if it's within the purview of the mandate or not, as long as there's a consensus in the committee to do that. And do you have a point of order, Mr. Dong?
Yeah, I respectfully disagree with MP Angus' insertion there, but because we do have new members to this committee. I remember when I was a new member coming here, I tried to understand it's not a matter of whether or not we've done homework, because we are talking about a continuation of motions and suggestions and decisions made in the previous session. So I think it's only fair to the new members, fair to their constituents, so they can do their job in making an informed decision on whether to vote yes or no on various issues. And I think it's not a matter of doing homework. It's a matter of a respect for members. Thank you.
Point of order, Chair.
Mr. Barrett.
So after I presented the motion, Chair, I wasn't afforded the opportunity to speak to it. And so just very quickly, being very respectful of your time and members of the committee's time, if it pleased all members of the committee that a friendly amendment or an amendment was made to my motion, that any MP or staff member could review the documents in the clerk's office as opposed to electronic distribution. And if all members were amenable to that, and if this could come to a vote in the next 10 minutes, then I would be pleased to amend my motion to that effect. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. And if I cut you off, then you have my sincere apology. I thought you had finished with your motion and went on to discussion, but if you didn't.
I always have more to say, Chair.
I'm getting that message. Thank you. So, Madam Lattanzio, were you motioning that you wanted to say something?
I did. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not speaking to the last amendment made by my colleague Barrett. I just wanted to chime in terms of my comments being a new member of this committee. I'm all for efficiency. I'm all for moving along. But I think that colleagues, you need to appreciate the fact that there are 2 new members on this committee. And I think that decisions that were made in the previous mandate of this committee, decisions were made, discussions were had to which I was not a part of. And I think that sometimes decisions and resolutions are moved and motions are moved in light of discussions that were had. And so I think that, and I have nothing, and I understand the scope of Mr. Barrett's motion. I have no issue with whatever motions come through this committee, but I think that it would be incumbent on ourselves to be able to give ourselves a chance to look at it, to study. I mean, if I heard correctly, Mr. Barrett did move to postpone or to adjourn, I'm sorry, my colleague's Gaudreau's motion, because it merited time and to look at it, to study it. You know, I mean, there's consideration here in terms of private individuals, private documents, and I think that it wouldn't be fair that we move in such a very quick fashion without giving us the opportunity to be able to look at it, at least from my perspective, at least get a sense of where all this is coming from, and also have a little bit of a history behind this motion. I wasn't privy to any of those conversations. I came prepared today with the motions that I wanted to present, the mandate of this committee. These are the prepared documents that I have. I have no information, no document that would make me understand or help me in voting, at least, you know, the next motion that my colleague Barrett has put on the floor this morning. So for all those reasons, I think that just as my colleague Barrett decided to adjourn debate on my colleague's Gaudreau's motion, I would move that we adjourn debate on his motion too, and give me at least the opportunity to be able to look at it and come prepared the next committee meeting and take an enlightened decision on his motion.
Thank you, Madam Lattanzio. By the way, there's 3 of us that are brand new. I'm also brand new, but there's been a motion now to adjourn debate on Mr. Barrett's motion. Is that the pleasure of the committee to adjourn debate?
We have a recorded vote, please, Chair.
Okay, there's been a request for a recorded vote to adjourn debate on Mr. Barrett's motion, and so I'll leave the work to the clerk once more. Thank you.
All those in favor, please say yay. All those opposed, please say nay when your name is called. Mr. Dong?
I agree with adjournment of the debate.
Mr. Fergus,
Désolé, je suis en faveur de la motion.
I'm in favor of the motion to adjourn.
Yes, of course.
Ms. Shanahan, you're on mute, Ms. Shanahan. Ah, that's good.
I vote in favor.
Mr. Sorbera,
Thank you, Clerk. I vote in favor of adjournment.
Mr. Barrett,
Nay.
Mr. Gould, Mr. Workington,
No.
Madame Gaudreau.
No.
Mr.
No.
Five for, 5 against, Mr. Chair.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, unless there's extenuating circumstances, the chair generally goes with the status quo. The status quo is that the motion's on the floor right now. And so we continue, and the next person I had on the list is Mr. Angus.
Thank
Excuse
you.
me, point of order?
Point of
Chair?
order, Madam Shanahan.
Yes, if you could just clarify, are we speaking to the amendment, to the sub-amendment? What are we speaking to now?
I think Mr. Barrett had suggested a friendly amendment to his motion if that was more palatable. And so I suspected that there was consensus on the committee in that regard because it was one of the concerns that everybody had voiced. We're speaking to the amendment presently.
And
So-
could you just clarify the speaking order? Because I put myself back on the list for that.
Okay, then I will. You are next.
Thank you. So I'm going to try and bring together Madame Shanahan's original concerns, which are, I think, should be very, very important for us to consider. When we asked for these documents, we did have a major discussion. I'm sorry if new members didn't read up on it, but this was a major issue, is to make sure that these documents were handled properly. And so the agreement was they would be kept in the clerk's office. And I think that remains a very important principle. What I think is important about Mr. Barrett's friendly amendment is that they remain in the clerk's office, but because we are now meeting virtually and some members in different parts of the country may not be able to travel, that the only people who'd be able to see the clerk's documents, and Mr. Barrett may correct me if I'm wrong, is the MP on the committee or their designated staff, a single designated person who would represent the member of parliament who would be able to go to the clerk's office. We've had that in previous other committees. This would then limit access, so we're not actually putting these online, we're not sending them out virtually. But if a member of parliament, for example, if I can't leave Northern Ontario to see the documents, my privilege would be interfered with, but my staff, if I designate a particular staff to go, they could go and see the documents and report back to me, but the documents would not be made virtually or put out in public. I think that would show that our whole committee understands the importance of respect of privacy, but also accountability. If that's my understanding of Mr. Barrett's friendly amendment to himself, then I am ready to vote on this so that we can get on and get ready for question period.
Madam Shanahan.
Thank you, Chair. So I am concerned that the friendly amendment, that the wording is not exact enough. I think that it's the reason why I asked for the suspension earlier, and indeed why we asked for the adjournment on this debate, because we would like to look at it more carefully. I was able to find the in-camera, the privacy motion that we passed this summer, and I'd like to read that out just so people can understand that there was much thought put into this, and it was passed by this committee. So it was as follows, that in relation to the motion passed on Wednesday, July 22nd, 2020, to ensure the privacy and security of this personal information of Canadians, the committee adopt the following procedures for the handling of these documents. That the documents not be emailed to members, staff, or anyone else. That for the consideration of the documents during in-camera meetings, numbered paper copies be provided to committee members by the clerk at the start of any meeting at which they will be considered, and that they be returned to the clerk at the end of the meeting. That no staff and no mobile or electronic device be allowed for the duration of the in-camera meeting. That the documents be held in the clerk's office, and that outside of in-camera committee meetings, members may only view the documents in the clerk's office, and that no mobile or electronic devices be in the room when the documents are being reviewed. And so this is, I think it shows the thought that went into this, and I understand that we have even the added difficulty, of course, of not all members being able to be here, which is why I would like more thought to be put into this motion and into the sub-amendment, into the amendment to the motion. So I respectfully ask all committee members to keep this in mind, that what we do here will affect individuals, and I don't think it's the wish of anybody here to inadvertently hurt individuals that, as I said earlier, through no fault of their own, have been brought into this situation. And so I don't know how to address the issue of staff. I'd like to understand who that staff would be. Would they have, are they bound in the same way that we would be? Do they have a secret clearance? I think these are serious issues that need to be considered, and likely not just for this motion, but for anything else that is, for any other committee work that is being done where we deal with confidential documents, as we do from time to time. So for that reason, I cannot support the amendment as proposed by Mr. Barrett. Thank you.
Mr. Sorbera.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to my colleague MP Shanahan for her comments, and largely in line with those comments for Mr. Barrett's amendment and motion. I'm trying to understand what has changed from the motion that was brought forward in the summer to now. In the summer motion, staff were, my understanding, specifically excluded in the first motion. And I believe I'm concerned. I'm very much concerned in terms of when you the sensitivity to the documents, the sensitive nature to which the first motion was drafted in the summertime. Now we're going to be enlarging that, or the proposition is to enlarge that circle. I'm very, very much concerned. Obviously, I take with a lot of credence and a lot of value MP Angus's comments in terms of his rights being violated as an MP, or privilege being violated, excuse me, Charlie, if I use the wrong terms, because we obviously know we all need to be able to fulfill our jobs as members of Parliament. Just obviously delegating those responsibilities to our staff members, I don't believe is correct. I believe that we need to be within the spirit of what the motion was in the summertime. And if my understanding, I'm just trying to pull it up again. That the motion, that in relation to the motion passed on Wednesday, July 22nd, to ensure the personal privacy and security of this personal information of Canadians, and I reemphasize to ensure the privacy and security of this personal information of Canadians, the committee adopt the following procedures for the handling of these documents. that the documents not be emailed to members, staff, or anyone else, that for consideration of the documents during in-camera meetings, numbered, papered copies be provided to committee members by the clerk at the start of any meeting at which they will be considered, and that they be returned to the clerk at the end of the meeting, that no staff and no mobile or electronic devices be allowed for the duration of the in-camera meeting. I'll repeat that again, that no staff, no mobile or electronic devices be allowed for the duration of the in-camera meeting, that the documents be held in the clerk's office, and that outside of in-camera meetings, members only view the documents in the clerk's office, and that no mobile or electronic devices may be in the room when the documents are being reviewed. So at the time, there was such sensitivity and such importance given to this, and this obviously I'm anticipating that, and I don't know what the vote was for that motion, but I'm anticipating as this motion had passed, that this was made with utmost diligence and judiciousness by the committee members at the time. And I have significant grave concerns in reference to expanding this list. If there was a leak that was done by a staff member from any party, this would impose significant consequences to the individuals mentioned within these documents, to their privacy, to potential future career opportunities in financial, almost every realm. And I don't even, as not being a lawyer, cannot even list the grave concerns that can even be remembered. This has come up in prior committee hearings where a leak did occur. We can go back to 2010, December 14th, that a former staffer of a Conservative MP, where a document was leaked on December 14th, 2010, and I can read it into to the record. A former Conservative MP, Kelly, a staffer, former staffer for his on his team, and we know the great work that staffers do day in, day out for us. We know the heavy lifting they do to not only make us look good, but to inform us, to keep us on schedule. And we all, we understand that. But there has been the situation in the past, unfortunately, where this has occurred, and I cannot, for good conscience, have this situation arise again. So I'm really not sure why MP Barrett put forward this suggestion or amendment or motion. In terms of that, I think in terms of privilege, obviously we are in a very, as I say, unique and extraordinary period of time that we need to ensure that all members' privileges at all times is respected. But that this was set up during the summertime, during COVID. It was agreed to by the members of the committee. I don't know why we're veering in any other manner, Chair, and I'll stop in a minute. So I have very much grave concerns on why the motion was put forward in this manner. Obviously, I cannot support that in any way. If the consequences were that a staff member then were to leak this information, it gives me very, very, very grave concerns. That responsibility should not be just delegated down in terms of the sensitivity of these documents. That's why on routine motions, going back to the routine motions, we had that section there for going in camera. This is obviously pertains to that, and it should be the sole responsibilities of the members of Parliament. I'll yield the floor now to the next speaker, Chair. Thank you.
Mr. Workington.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's becoming clear that the Liberals don't want these documents released. Of course, we knew that they didn't want them released. The Prime Minister prorogued Parliament, shutting down committees, as well as this investigation just hours before these documents were set to be released to the committee. So it's no surprise that the Liberals don't want them released. The opposition members do want them released. to the committee. This is a minority parliament. Canadians have elected the opposition parties in larger numbers than the government. It is time for the government to end their filibuster and to allow for this committee to do its important work of undertaking its review of these documents. It shouldn't be a surprise to any member of this committee. I am new to this committee, but I read in national newspapers that this committee was considering these documents, that these documents were being prepared, and that they were hours away from being released before the Prime Minister prorogued Parliament. So it isn't a surprise to any of us. It's no surprise to any Canadian that we as a committee would be requesting the release of these documents. I believe it's now time for us to get these documents to committee, figure out a way to do it. I believe that the proposal that has been proposed by my colleague, Mr. Barrett, and it's been supported by Mr. Angus in these discussions, that we find a resolution to ensure that we protect the privacy of those individuals by maintaining the documents in the clerk's office, allowing members of this committee access to review those documents, as well as a designated staff member. As Mr. Sobera and others have said, we do trust our staff to do good work, and I would expect that we can move forward. We are all responsible adults. We've all served in many capacities, and many of us as members of Parliament for a significant period of time. Canadians will find it ridiculous if we can't find some way to get these documents to committee within the next number of hours.
Thank you, Mr. Orkton. Mr. Dong.
Thank you, Chair. I remember there was a great division of opinion last time this came forward to the committee. Personally, I think the question is I think with this we're setting a precedence. How far are we going to go in terms of relatives, friends, and for that concern, I actually asked the clerk of the Privy Council and other experts later on came in as witnesses. There isn't a legislated sort of a guideline on how far we can go, and this goes for all members thereafter. I think as a member, I personally kind of it feels like this. There is no line. There is no boundary of how far this committee will go in calling a member, elected officials, friends, family members. So, anyways, there was a great division on this topic, and I remember the chair had to step in to make a decision. I do agree that Canadians are entitled to information, but I think in protecting their fundamental rights and privacy, the committee now is on the hook for accountability of making sure that happens. And we were in the COVID situation then. Now we're still in the COVID situation. I don't understand why all of a sudden that we are going to include designated staff with access to these documents. I don't think there were precedents in the past how these were leaked. Unfortunately, I don't know if there was any sort of a solution to that, or any change of legislation to speak to that. But we're entering in another situation where if this gets leaked, all members of this committee, especially those that think that this agrees with this amendment, will be on the hook. If this gets leaked, and I still don't understand the mechanism where a designated staff sees the document, and how are they going to transmit the information of this document back to their member, without using electronics. If MP Barrett can explain that to me, that'd be great. Because in my view, that there's no way in today's world that you can pass on this information without using electronics. And yeah, you can use a phone, but is it completely safe, right? So I don't understand why this amendment is brought forward. There was a great discussion in the past to exclude staff, and now we're including staff. If someone can explain to me why. Michael's laughing. Maybe he has a good explanation. I'm looking forward to hear from him.
Mr. Fergus. Sorry, Mr. Fergus, just before you begin, just to clarify, because I know some people are concerned if I have their name on a list. So we have Mr. Fergus, Mr. Barrett, Mr. Angus, Madam Latanzio, and Madam Shannon. That's the order in which I have right now. So sorry, Mr. Fergus, go right ahead.
No problem at all, Mr. Chair. And I'd like to be very clear. I think some very good points were raised, but I'd like to respond particularly to what Mr. Workington said. So I'm glad Mr. Workington had followed the news over the summer and read the national news on this. I would also hope that he had, and I assume he had, followed the debate that we had at Ethics Committee. We had a long discussion about this, and it wasn't the will of just one party. It was the will of the majority of the members of the committee to put a framework around the in-camera aspect of this. Now, this was done for extraordinary reasons. Why? Because the debate really centered around the notion of who investigates the investigators. In other words, who gets to should MPs be investigating other MPs and their families and extensions and friends and all that kind of stuff? And the answer was, no, we have an ethics commissioner that does that. Now, if members feel that the ethics commissioner doesn't have a full access, then that's the reason why we approved of this motion, and we said, all right, the original idea was all this information was going to go to the ethics commissioner, just as the clearinghouse through the clerk, and therefore we're not really investigating each other. But there was some concern that members wanted to see this information, so then we put some limits around that. And this was the will of the committee, not the will of one party. And the idea is that this information, we developed this on July 22nd, not very long ago, under the same conditions in which we find ourselves now, in terms of having a hybrid parliament, and in the sense that with the COVID, which was happening, we said, all right, we're going to leave this to making sure that members can take a look at this, but it will be kept at the clerk's office. We're going to try to limit the number of people on this so that we don't put anyone, our staffers, or anyone who we designate in a compromising position in case the information that was being would end up being released. So that is the reason why we put those conditions in place. It was the will of the committee to do that, and it was, I think, the best thing to do under the circumstances. Nothing else has changed. There's no other material factor that has changed in terms of the ability of members to or not get to Ottawa. So I know we are all have different weeks of house duties. We were talking about this off camera before this meeting had started, about all of us being able to come to. We're required to come to Ottawa from time to time for us to do our duty in the House. Otherwise, we would be participating online. Well, I think as part of that duty, that's exactly what will happen. So you're not getting any opposition from me or from my colleagues in the Liberal Party to bring forward this information. We're saying, fine, but bring it forward under the same conditions in which we had established back in July. And given that nothing has changed in our circumstances, that should still apply. And so I didn't like, and I know Chris from a long time, and I like to consider him a friend, but I didn't appreciate that the tone in which he used had suggested that this was being a partisan issue. It wasn't. And I think this committee has done very well to making sure that we want to support this work that's being done. For matter of fact, we all know that there are discussions which are going on to how we can take this off of the ethics committee plate, put it onto a special committee's plate, so that we can go on and do the work that we had set out to do back in February, important work which we know is time limited. So I ask again, Mr. Barrett, I think that we would come to a quick agreement if you were to just bring forward the same conditions under which we had adopted ways that we, our members of this committee can examine those documents, bring forward those same conditions that we had back on July 22nd, and we're done. We can move on to other issues because we know that the same material will be brought forward, the same conditions in which they would be applied would be brought forward, and we would be able to discharge our duties as members of this committee. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Now on to Mr. Barrett.
Well, thanks, Chair. Lots said there. We've gone back in our time machine to 2010 to find an incident of a staff member leaking a document. I don't know, maybe they got fired, maybe they didn't. And Ms. Shanahan asked about secret clearance. None of my staff have a security clearance. I don't think that there's a provision for MP staff to have security clearance, nor are MPs cleared unless it's a requirement. And so I had a top secret clearance when I served in the military, but it's not current and it's not required. The clearance that we require is the one that we take on the day we officially become a member, and that's the oath of office. And it's that we solemnly and sincerely promise and swear that we will truly and faithfully, to the best of our knowledge, execute the powers and trusts reposed in us. So help me God. And that's the clearance that we use. And so with respect to our staff, they handle all kinds of information from our offices. So in this case, we have members who are not able to come to Ottawa. We have a situation here where people need to put a little water in their wine. This is not the original motion that I put forward in the summer, but some things have changed, folks. Prorogation has happened, and so we put this forward at the time in the summer. There was a second motion so that there were restrictions put on it. I'm not creating some kind of structure to allow a leak. If you like the motion, vote for it. If you don't like the motion, vote against it and propose a different one. But everyone was in a big hurry 50 minutes ago to leave this meeting. Everyone has seen this motion before, and everyone can see it now. And the change that I've suggested is eminently reasonable. And with respect, how would your staff talk to you? There was never. There's never any limiting factor on what we can talk about. So for me to be able to call another member of this committee on the phone, having viewed these documents in the clerk's office with them, Mr. Dong, you and I can attend the clerk's office together, look at them. You go back to your constituency, I go back to my Hill office, we pick up the phone and we talk about it. Well, we're allowed to do that. There's no requirement for use of encrypted devices. This isn't national security. We're talking about an issue of someone's first name and last name, and on what date they attended an event and how much they were paid for it. It's not in my interest to leak any of this, and I'm not sure in whose interest it would be. So members who were in a mad rush to get out of here 50 minutes ago, let's just put our hands down and call the question, and you can vote against it. Mr. Fergus, you talked about the will of committee. Well, guess what? It's a new session of Parliament. The Liberal Prime Minister prorogued to avoid accountability in dealing with corruption in his government, and so now the committee has to take new decisions. Well, based on that, some of those decisions that the committee made before in a previous session might be different, and I will slow my pace down because I know in the past I've been asked to be respectful of the good work our interpreters do. So my apologies to the interpreters and to my colleagues who are listening through translation services. They offer me the same courtesy when they're speaking. So I'll leave it there. But to my colleagues, we can drag this out over a couple meetings, or we can vote on it today. And if the will of the committee is similar to that of the committee from the previous session, then the motion will be defeated, and a new motion can be put forward. And if it's in the interests of members of this committee to get the information, my goodness, wouldn't it be a pleasant surprise to see a Liberal member of the committee put forward a motion to order the documents from Speaker Spotlight and have them produced under conditions that they believe are favorable, and then see if members of the opposition vote with them. So I encourage all members that we move swiftly to calling the question.
Mr. Angus.
The reason these documents were requested was because under the Conflict of Interest Act and the definition of family and relatives, there's also Section 5 where the Prime Minister needs to have his affairs in order not to be put in a conflict of interest. So these issues matter because after Mr. Trudeau became Prime Minister, the We Group began to pay his family members an extraordinary amount of money to do work for them. And they initially denied that. They said money wasn't paid. When we asked the charity board head, the former chair of We Charity, if she had known that the Trudeau family were being paid, she said they were specifically told the Trudeau family was not being paid. So there's a question of the credibility of information that we've had. And when we asked the Kielburgers to clarify why Trudeau family members were being paid when very famous people like Julie Black and Theo Fleury were not being paid, they told us that they were not being paid to do public speaking, but to work the corporate events afterwards. So this situation has put the Prime Minister in a conflict of interest. That's why these documents matter. The question is, if the documents concur with everything that we've been told, then that's fine. If the documents contradict what's been said publicly and under oath at committee, then we have a very serious issue. So I would suggest a simple solution. We can vote on it right now. I will come to Ottawa to look at the documents, and then I'll talk with my staff about those documents. I would have preferred I could have avoided having to come in because of COVID to have my staff go. But I will accept the original terms that we had for the limiting of the documents if the Liberals will agree to vote now before 2 o'clock so we can get these documents put into the clerk's hands so we can begin to work. So if Mr. Barrett will withdraw his amendment, Ms. Shanahan said she's serious.
Withdrawn.
Mr. Fergus said he's ready to go. I don't know about my other Liberal colleagues. They still seem to be wanting to get caught up to speed. If the Liberals are ready to vote, let's do this. Let's go with the original terms and conditions, and let's get this done by 2 p.m. Ready to vote.
I still have 5 people on the list, but as one who would always like to pursue consensus, is there any consensus around the proposition from Mr. Angus?
I withdraw my amendment to the motion and consent to the proposal.
Okay,
I still want to say something to be on the record.
Okay, I see a lot of shaking heads,
okay.
so
okay,
I'll continue.
So as a point of order then, I would ask Mr. Barrett to put his original motion back on. If the Liberals are not going to show us good faith, why would we withdraw that? If they don't want to agree with us, then I say that Mr. Barrett's amendment to allow staff, and then the Liberals don't seem to want to work with us.
Oh,
so.
Charlie, that's new information for me. I just need to digest it
Always
a
new
little
information
bit.
for you, Mr.
No,
Dong.
but you said you changed you changed your
colleagues.
position, saying that you would agree with the original amendment, right?
Colleagues, listen, it's even tougher. Crosstalk is really tough when you're live, but it's even tougher when you're on a screen. So we just have one at a time. There's no withdrawal anyway. Look, you need unanimous consent to withdraw anything. So,
Chair, can we have 2 minutes suspension? Just then come back on this.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what. The analysts and the clerk don't have the same luxury as we have, or actually, I don't either, of walking away. So maybe I will suspend for 3 minutes if for no other reason, for nature. going back to my list, and we have Madame Latanzio is next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In light of the discussions that were had, I was pleasantly surprised to learn that you know, the terms that had been agreed way back in July seem to have been in dire contradiction with what the amendment had been by my colleague had been put on the table for us to decide. And I think I'm going to reiterate the fact that, you know, it's important, I think, that we have a good idea of what had transpired in the past so that we can make decisions that are clear, that are lucid, and it is in no way to stifle the work of this committee, but it's just to get to work and do due diligence on our work. So that was the point of my intervention before, and I'm reiterating for the same arguments and not an adjournment of the motion, because I understood we voted on it, but because of the new information that was read by my colleague Shanahan, you can appreciate the fact that we as new members of this committee, I think, are entitled to have all the necessary information so that we can take our responsibilities and make decisions that are clear. And so I'm going to propose once again that we adjourn debate on this motion. I understand that what my colleague is also, in reading very quickly the motion, there are a lot of similarities between his motion and my colleague Gaudreau's motion with regards to setting up a new committee. And so let us take the time to be able to look at this closely, carefully, so that we can take the proper decision. It is in no way to stifle or to impede a colleague from putting forward a motion and not deciding on it, but it's just to give us an opportunity to look at it properly, examine it properly. And I just want to make one more comment in terms of taking our oath of office to be able to not disclose the information that we receive. It is my understanding that staff members do not have that same obligation to take an oath of office. And so for all those reasons, I'm not prepared to vote on this, or at least not vote yay for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Shanahan.
Chair, and I too am disturbed that we're taking up the time of the ethics committee when we know that there are discussions that are going on about dealing with this very issue. Trouble with them. Is that better now?
Ms. Shanahan, I think you're using the computer microphone and not your earset microphone, because I noticed no difference in whether or not you bring it closer.
Okay, so I should.
The chevron beside the mute button should allow you to pick which. That little arrow beside the mute button should allow you to pick headset.
Headset, yeah. Microphone. Is that better now?
No.
Okay. Same as system. Those are the only two options that I have.
Oh.
Is this better now?
Clerk,
point of order, Chair.
Are you getting any feedback from the translation that Madam Shanahan can be heard now?
This is the interpreter speaking now. This is the interpreter speaking now. Can you hear me? There was no real difference.
Point of order, Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Server.
Thank you, Chair. As it is now 2:07, and we are into, I believe, now statements of members, and question period will now begin. I believe it is our privilege as members of Parliament not to be allowed to and have to be sorry, my train of thought, to be now allowed to attend question period. That is supersedes the duty that we are on committee at this moment in time. Am I not correct on that, sir?
That's not a point of order.
It's not. Well, it's the only reason it's not a point of order is it's procedurally wrong. It's the fact is that we are masters of our own destiny, and so there's no obligation for us. There is around bells, but there's no bells for QP. So there's no vote that's being called, and so we can continue on. Madam Shanahan, do you want to try again, and we'll check with translation to see if they're able to hear you clearly?
So is this better now for the translation? And
it's really no different.
So, in fact, Chair, this is part of my intervention that for whatever reason, the resources, we've had some connectivity issues just recently, and now I have a microphone issue, and that's interfering with my ability to participate in this committee. I understand that the work here is important, and I certainly value it. And it is for that reason that knowing that there are other conversations going on at this time to deal with this very issue. And in fact, I heard a member earlier in this meeting referring to just that the previous work of this committee would not be lost. It could simply be turned over to any new entity that was taking up this work. And the fact that we agreed to adjourn debate on the motion of Madame Gaudreau, because it was also around this issue of studying these matters on a continued basis. But would it be under a special committee? Was this committee is this committee in order to ask for such a committee? These are all important questions, and I'd like to remind members that that this is the first meeting. It's certainly not the last, and that we have an opportunity here to put our motions on the table, and that was a suggestion, Chair, that you had earlier on, and I certainly agree with that, because I think that's that is really the crux of what we want to, the kind of work that we want to continue discussing here. I understand the concerns of my colleague, Mr. Angus. I've heard my other colleagues' concerns around the privacy issues, and I think that we need to address that in more detail. I think we need to give it the due regard, because while committees are masters of their own destiny, there is still il faut agir en bonne foi. We have to act in good faith on behalf of Canadians. And I am concerned about that information inadvertently, and I say that knowing how we're all dealing with technical issues, inadvertently being leaked out. And so I think that it bears further study, and I think that would be more properly done between our various House leaders in the work that they're doing in really trying to see how we can make the most of this time that we have before us. So and just as a side note, resources, yes, the technological resources, and I'm very mindful of the interpreters, and I'm sorry if I'm not being helpful here. I have ordered additional earphones. I think they're trying to deliver them to me, the headphones, but I'm not able to take delivery. Physically, this is going to become unmanageable at some point, and so I beg the chair's indulgence in allowing us to adjourn debate. And I would request that we can adjourn debate on this issue. so that we can perhaps move on to placing on notice our other motions. Thank you, Chair.
Just to be clear, Madam Shannon, did you move a motion to adjourn debate on this issue?
Yes, I have moved that motion to adjourn debate.
Mr. Angus, I see your hand up there as a point of order.
Yes, just a point of order because it is question period and I have to be in question period. However, I don't want to go along with Ms. Shanahan, who's shown to me very bad faith here in terms of she raised her concerns. Now she wants to stall, but we do have to go to question period. So we need a vote on being able to go to question period, but I certainly don't agree with the reasons Madame Shanahan has put forward. I think she's stalling deliberately.
Let's be clear, colleagues. Are we adjourning debate, or do you want to adjourn the meeting? So give me some clarity around that, and then we can move to a vote.
Well, adjourning debate doesn't adjourn the meeting, so
we have to adjourn the meeting.
Okay. Well, I'll handle the first motion then. Madam Shanahan, did you say you wanted to adjourn the meeting, not the motion?
Hearing what my colleague Mr. Angus said, I would move to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a consensus on the vote for that then, to adjourn the meeting? I'm only saying that the motion, that's correct.
Yeah, good, yes.
Yeah. To adjourn the meeting and not the motion.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yes.
The motion is, if you're all have a consensus on that, because it was an indication around the motion, but the motion on the floor right now is to adjourn the meeting.
And so, Chair, when the meeting resumes, the next time this committee resumes, this motion would be dealt with.
Yes.
That is absolutely correct.
Yes.
I have an agreement to adjourn the meeting.
Yes.
Okay, I see all heads nodding yes. I will adjourn the meeting then now.
Thank you.